Good morning again, everyone. I want to take this video and explain to you how we represent decimals. We've been doing a lot of representation of large numbers in class, as well as in our videos, chats that we have on Teams. Now, I want to take the time to represent decimals, okay? And this is something that you're going to have to understand and know because you're going to see it all around you in the everyday world. Now, the learning goal here is use place value to represent numbers less than 1,000th, multiply decimals by a one-digit number, divide decimals by a one-digit number. For now, we're just going to focus on the first one, use place value to represent numbers less than 1,000th. Now, this is right from the textbook, and I want you to really pay attention to exactly what is the pattern, how do we say this, how do we represent it, and then we're going to talk about this more when we get into our math meeting. Now, decimals are all around us. The ostrich is the world's largest living bird. It can have a mass of 156 and 489 thousandths. How do we read this number? What is the meaning of each digit? Now we're going to get into this in a minute. Let's go to the Explore section in the textbook. You will need a calculator, a copy of a place value chart, write the headings and the number 27 on the chart as shown below. Now this is something that you can do at home if you have a calculator. I will not be providing this here, but you can take a piece of paper and recreate it yourself using rulers and a pencil. It says divide 27 by 50. Record it in the chart. Divide your answer to part A by 50. Record it in the chart. Now this is really important that you have a calculator to do this because we have not learned how to do this mentally, and sometimes there's appropriate times to use a calculator, and this would be one of them. Divide your answer to part B by 25, record it in the chart. So exactly as you see it on your calculator, record it here in this chart, okay? Now, let's take a look at really this place value chart, and what are we seeing? Now, the one that I've given you should look like this. The place value chart that you have should be like this one. It says place value chart for comparing decimals, and it's got millions all the way to 10,000 thousandths, sorry. But this one here, this place value chart here that they show in the textbook, let me see if I can get a good view of it. It's a little bit tiny, but we'll go with what we can see. I will read it out loud. We have 100 thousandths, 10 thousandths, thousandths, hundredths, tens, ones, tenths, hundredths, thousandths, 10 thousandths, 100 thousandths, millionths. Now you'll see that these ones are represented like fractions. So for those of you who understand and have been exposed to fractions, which I hope is all of you, you'll see that 1 over 10 is tenths. 1 over 100 is hundredths. Okay? So you need to know that as you move to the left, each position represents 10 times as many as the position to the right. So 100 thousandths equals 1 over 100 thousandths. Scratch that. When we move to the left, we're going to be multiplying. So in order for us to get from 1 to 10, you need to multiply by 10. To get from 10 to 100, you need to multiply by 10. In order to get from 100 to 1,000, you multiply by 10. In order to get from 1,000 to 10,000, you again multiply by 10. If you go from 10,000 to 100,000, you are going to multiply by 10. Now, this It's the same as if we're doing it this way. If we start at millionths, way over here to our right, you are going to times that by 10 to get 100 thousandths, times that by 10 to get 10 thousandths, and so on and so forth. Now let's take a look at some place that you can see decimals appear. Now, if a scientist wanted to look at insects, they could look at the firefly, which is the world's smallest insect. This place value chart shows the length of the male firefly in centimeters. We read this as 139 10,000ths, and we see it here. We can write this in multiple ways. So I'm going to pull this down a little more. There we go. We can write this number in standard form, which you should be familiar with that term. It's just the number as you see it there. Expanded form would be each of the digits being expanded out to what each one represents. So we have 0 ones, 0 tenths, 100th, 3 thousandths, and 10 thousandths also shown like this. So there's the standard numbers plus each, and you're adding up each place value, or it's showing each place value with word form. Let's continue on. In expanded form, we can write this number as 3 ones, 2 tenths, 100th, 8 thousandths, 5 ten thousandths, 7 hundred thousandths, and 9 millionths. We read this decimal as 3 and, remember when we see a decimal, that it does mean and, so we can say and here. 3 and 268 thousandths, 579 millionths. Small decimals are often used in science, again, like I've mentioned with the firefly. Another example could be a garden snail. So let's take a look at this garden snail really quick. Try to get this zoomed in so we can see this a little better. Okay. A garden snail moves very slow. In 1 hour it travels, and we have a decimal here. So we would read this decimal as 483 ten thousandths. 483 ten thousandths. Another place that you can see decimals is sound. Sound travels very fast. It would take, we have a decimal here again, for sound to travel from one end of the football field to another. Now, how would we read that decimal? So sound travels so fast that it takes less than 1 second to travel. We're going to read this decimal as 46 ten thousandths. And if I'm going to put that number into, let's take that number and let's put that right into our chart. Take our place value chart. Please don't actually write on your place value chart at home. Use maybe some sticky notes or maybe just some scrap pieces of paper that you can kind of tear into small pieces, and you'll place each digit in the correct place value. But for my sake, I'm going to use a pencil and write very lightly so I can erase it. So we're going to take that number 46 ten thousandths. Now, we have to have our placeholder in our ones. Now we have our decimal. Because I'm saying 46 ten thousandths, there's nothing in the there's nothing in the tenths. So we have another 0 as a placeholder. There's nothing in the hundredths. Now I don't have the 10 thousandths here for you, but we could write TT for 10 thousandths. And this is going to be 46 ten thousandths. And that's how that number would be written. This is representing, or this can represent, actually we'll make this one represent our decimal. So there's nothing in the ones, tens, or tenths, or hundredths. So it's 46 ten thousandths. hopefully this is a little bit helpful to you, and it will help you to understand how we say those decimals, how they're written, and see maybe the pattern that is in our hundredths chart. So we're going to talk about that more when we get on our meeting. But if you're unable to join the meeting, I hope this was helpful for you, and I will continue to post videos on decimals to further your understanding. Good luck.